Yo, what's up, healthy people? Welcome to the IRTC, the I Run the City podcast. My name is Pareo, Pareo. I'm the podcast MC. This is episode number 29. A runner's high is still legal in all 50 states. Revel Wasatch, 2021, my commentary. The last time I did a marathon was November of 2019. It was the I run this. It was the I'm sorry. It was the Las Vegas Rock and Roll Marathon in 2019. Run the strip at night, and of course, COVID hit and it shut everything down. So it had been well over a year, and I was crazy excited for this race. And shout out to Park City, Utah, Heber City, Utah, and the Wasatch Mountains. Unbelievable energy. Really nice place Utah is. Um, Hospitality was all good, so I had a really good time over in Utah. My first time there. I like to to go run in places that I've never been before, and Utah was it did not disappoint. It did not disappoint. Park City is an amazing place, and I'll probably be back over in Utah. So I had a really good time. Good time over there in between training and the race and all that. So a big shout out to them, and also a big shout out to the Revel Marathon Series for putting on an amazing event that was safe and efficient to accommodate the times that we currently live in. They did a unbelievable job in putting this race on. So big shout out to the Revel Series. It was my first time racing with the Revel Series, and I'll run again with them. I will do it again. I know they have a race in Vegas that I'll participate in next year. So shout out to them. And by the way, real quick, some housekeeping, as they say. Subscribe to my website. Is really picking up some speed over there. We're really working on that and doing a pretty good job. We got things going pretty good at pareo333.com, Pareo333.com. Follow me on Instagram at pareo333, and of course, subscribe to the podcast. Leave a review, and that's always a positive review, something 5 stars with a really good comment helps us out. So go and do that also. But episode 29, a runner's high is still legal in all 50 states. In episode 28, extended training block, I talked about how my training block was set and the race was originally supposed to be in Las Vegas on April 3rd, canceled due to COVID. We didn't quite have it figured out in Vegas. And they gave us an opportunity to defer and have the race, to defer the payment and race in another place. Another one of their races, that was already set and ready to go. So I decided to go to Utah. So Utah was April 30th, and that put another couple of weeks onto the training block, um, which I didn't think about when I did. But when the time came and my training block was basically over, I had stretched it out as long as I could, and there was still 2 weeks left in the training block. So episode 28, extending the training block, that's what I talked about. If you haven't heard that one, go back and check that one out. And all of this will make a lot more sense to you. The race was originally, again, my training block was set for April 3rd and ended up not running until April 30th, I didn't realize that there was going to be this 2 week period where um, I wasn't prepared. It stretched, it extended the training block, and I didn't have anything down for those 2 weeks. This had never happened before, so I really didn't know. It's my medal, Wasatch. Shout out to Revel Wasatch 2021. I didn't realize um, that it was gonna be that extra 2 weeks. This had never happened before. So when it did happen, and I'm staring at the 2 week delay or the 2 week extension, I got a little bit worried because I didn't have anything necessarily planned. I didn't have anything necessarily planned. I didn't know whether to rest or to continue to do long runs or to, continue to do speed work. So I did a little bit of everything, but I spaced it out and just kind of winged it for 2 weeks to stay loose, stay busy, and not get too complacent or not do anything. I just wanted to do something. So I did a lot of easy work. I did do some speed work, and I got some good miles in there over the course of that 2 weeks, with the hopes that it wouldn't mess up my training, and I don't know, like take me into like an overtrain situation. Maybe you're doing too much, and so it was a little bit of worry there. So I mean, essentially switching created 2 additional weeks of unplanned training time. So I was a little worried, um, but I did finally get through that 2 weeks. I get to Utah and felt good. I mean, you don't know what's going to happen during the race as a result of the 2 weeks. Now it's just time to race. Okay, now it's just time to race. So this is what I did. Um, get to the race, and this course was okay. Another thing, what I learned about Utah was that parts of Utah, is above sea level. It's above sea level. So I never ran in under those circumstances. I never ran in a race where it was going to be above sea level. And we get to the designated spot where we're transported to the start line, and right away, the first 2 miles. No. Let me back up. First off, it was 30 degrees, like 34 degrees or something crazy, like almost freezing out there. And in Vegas, that's not the case. Very seldom do you get to 30 degrees in Vegas where it's almost freezing. I mean, it gets a little cool sometimes. They cool off at night, over in the morning. So I do get to experience that a little, not much, but a little. But in Utah, it was like seriously cold. It was no games. It was for real cold, and wow, like freezing cold. Okay, my body went into a shock because I didn't. I just wore shorts. I did wear a long sleeve shirt, um, but I did. My legs were exposed, and literally, my body went into a shock. My feet and legs just, it was crazy. So for the first 2 miles, and the first couple miles, I feel like were more of an incline. The first couple miles were more of an incline. Now, the the good thing is, even though the first couple miles were like an incline, I my training the first couple of miles in one of the paths and one of the trails that I ran was an incline. So I was prepared for that. I was prepared for that. But I will admit, the cold kind of slowed me down. It took me a, it took me a little, it took me some time. It took me some time to kind of get adjusted to that cold. But I did power through, and those first 2 miles were probably two of, I know for sure, out of the first 20, I'll say out of the first 18 miles, the first 2 miles were two of my slowest miles, because it just took me time to get the motor running and to shake that cold and that shock that my body actually went through. Like, literally, my body went through a shock, literally. And going into mile 3, I began to feel like I was warming up, and it was all good. It was all good at mile 3, and I was able to turn it up. Now, I'm gonna start with mile 3 and detail the next 5K, the next 3.1 miles. So from mile 3 to mile 5 was very fast. Very, very fast. You know, normally in the race, in the beginning, for me, in the beginning, the front 13, I'm gonna call the first marathon, the first half marathon, the first 13.1 miles, for me, are normally my fastest. Okay, that's how it usually works for me. Normally, the first 13 are my fastest. I'm like really in a good place in those miles, those first 13 miles. I'm in a really good place. Really feeling good. I have a lot of energy. I'm happy, and just thankful to even be participating in these races. I mean, this is all going through my mind in those first 13 miles. And this race was different than a lot of other ones that I've participated in, because normally when I participate in a marathon, like the name of my podcast is I Run This City Podcast. And usually I'm in a big city and there's thousands of people in the race. So you're very seldom do I have the opportunity to run with such distance in between each person. Well, in this run, it was maybe 500 people, maybe. And again, the Revel Series put on a very safe event, a very safe run race. So just through the natural activity, uh, we were all spaced out. So I had an opportunity to kind of have a lot of room to myself and really, really kind of explore and concentrate on like the vitals that the vital things that I needed to do, like form and breathing. Like I had the headspace, and I had the room and the space around me to really concentrate on things like that, where in the bigger race, in the races in the bigger cities, you're kind of jockeying for position. The first couple of miles, you're trying to get in your own lane, trying to get people out of the way, and that wasn't the case this time. This time, I had an opportunity uh, to really do my thing on my own, which is how I train most of the time. By the way, I train most of the time solo, so it kind of felt like training those first few miles. So anyway, that's those second 3 miles after those first two, which were not hard, but again, just had to kind of get over that initial shock of the cold, and just to kind of get in the groove of things, which is something I got to work on. I got to work on that. I got to work on being able to come out the blocks and just go right away. Um, but anyway, those next 3 miles, I really had an opportunity to kind of get in sync and open up a little bit. So by the time I hit mile 5, I was in a good way. I was my mindset was really good, in a really good headspace, and ran the fastest 5K ever based on my statistics and um, my Garmin, and this was a really really good block of the race. The mile 3, 4, and 5 was a really 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 good block of the race, and it gave me a lot of confidence. So the next 10K. So from mile 5, um, so the start of mile 6 through mile 12, that next 10K. Okay, at this point, I was warmed up and was really able to open up. Okay, I was really able to open up, kind of open up my hips, get in a good stride. Um, Form really, really working for me. My breathing really, really has improved, and almost on autocorrect. When I'm running, and I'm in such a good mindset. I'm in such, I don't know, in sync with all the things that I'm supposed to be in sync with. Um, if my breathing gets off, it just kind of fixes itself. If my form goes sideways, it just kind of fixes itself. So 6 through 12, like 1 through 5, and then 6 through 12. That next 6 miles, that 10K, again, unbelievable, unbelievable. Just really found my groove. And the training, I'm gonna pause right here at mile 12 and just kind of go back into my training. The last training block, and you gotta remember, I brought Fit Chefs, Control Point, Trevor Moronis, who has been coaching me for the last several months. Um, it really, really, really paid off. Shout out the Control Point training and Fit Chefs, Trevor Moronis. Um, Really, really beneficial to bring these guys on, and to get some help from them. I did a podcast in the past, way back. It's been a few months now, and the name of that podcast is Help Wanted. Go back and listen to that podcast. This is me telling you guys about Trevor, and about uh, bringing in some help, because there's some goals that I'm trying to hit, and I was unable to do these things on my own. So I needed some guidance, and Help Wanted was me talking about, I wanted help from these guys in order to hit these goals that I'm trying to hit in terms of my endurance athletic profile, or just some endurance athletic endeavors that I'm reaching for. And listen, I felt amazing after 12 miles, because I knew, and I really made it my business not to look at my watch. I made it my business not to look at the watch, because I wanted just to reap the benefits of that training. I knew that my training was gonna be effective, because I worked hard over these last 15 weeks, really really hard. And I knew working that hard was gonna pay off. So didn't really even look at my watch very often, um, because it wasn't necessary. I just knew that as a result of bringing these guys in, and how my training changed from just me doing it myself, and some of the things that I was exposed to, and some of the techniques that I was exposed to, I knew that those things were going to help me, along with the effort that I put in getting out and hitting the trails more often. Like in this training block, I hit the trails more than I ever had in my life, and realized how beneficial running the trails can be, and would be. So I hit the trails that much more often. So just a shout out to Trevor, Control Point, Fit Chefs. Shout out to these guys, um, for the training. So anyway, I knew that my training was going to pay off, and by mile 12, So my first 2 miles, I'm getting warmed up. Okay. The next three after the first two, fastest 5K ever. The next six after the 5K, fastest 10K ever. Broke records, PK or PR in in those two categories during this run. Okay, PR'd in those two categories during this run. Now the air was really fresh. Okay, the air was really fresh. Again, I had a lot of space to operate. Not a whole lot. My headspace was phenomenal. Not a whole bunch of people around. So this was what I needed. This is what I needed coming off of more than a year layoff of no racing. I needed this type of. This race was perfect, and I didn't know that going in, but this would work out pretty good for me. So now we're at race. We're at mile 12, and going from mile 12 to let's say mile 15. No. Let's go from mile 12 to mile 13.1. Okay? Mile 12 to mile 13.1. Before this race, my fastest 13.1, my fastest half marathon was was an hour and 45 minutes. Okay, and with an hour and 45 minutes, that means if I do both halves in a marathon, there's two half marathons, 13.1, 13.1, 26.2. That means that's a 3 hour and 30 minute full marathon if it worked out that way, right? And this one, my half marathon time was an hour and 39 minutes. It was an hour and 39 minutes. So PR'd in that time, that space, that PR'd in the half marathon as well in this race. This is again, and I'm just reiterating that because this is the training. This is the difference in training, the difference in bringing in help and having someone help me with my training and exposing me to different, again, techniques and different things that I was able to do to speed up. I mean, my half marathon time, my best half marathon time, I beat it by 6 minutes. That's huge. That's a big deal. So from mile 1 to mile 13, best 5K, best 10K, best half marathon. That alone says that the coaching was worth the investment. That alone says that the coaching was worth the investment. By the way, fastest mile. My fastest mile in this run was like 6 minutes and 20 seconds or something to that effect. 6 minutes and 10 seconds. Which for me, and for me, that's outstanding. So, every category up to the half marathon, I PR'd, personal record. Okay, a PB, personal best, whatever. Fastest mile, fastest 5K, fastest 10K, fastest half marathon. It's all worth it right now. Right? It's all worth it right now. Regardless of what happens the next 13 miles, like it's all worth it. So boom. After mile 13, okay, this is normally when I say I settle in. All right. I settle in after that first 13.1. I settle in because now is when I really have to dig deep. Okay, I know once I get to mile 17, it's really on. Pardon me. For example, my last run, again, November of 2019, after mile 13, I get to, which is when I did that 145, the hour 45 and a half marathon. At the halfway mark, in that last one I ran, I was at an hour 45. And at that time, that was the best. That was my best one at that time. It was 145. Now, in that run, By the time I got to mile 17, I began to feel like, okay, what's happening? Because I just felt myself running low on fuel, or something wasn't going right, like something was happening, and it wasn't to my advantage. It wasn't to my advantage. So in this race, I was trying to be really, really cognizant of the next 4 miles. It had it on my mind, the next 4 miles, to be like, okay, think about it. Now's the time that the training, here is what we're going to see. That's what I'm saying. Here's what we're going to see. We're going to see just how beneficial the training was. The first 13 miles, I normally do well in the first 13. I said that in the beginning. Now we're going to see how this thing pays off. So between 13 and 15, I'm good. I'm good. I'm waiting to see if I'm going to start waning, if I'm going to start um, losing uh, steam. Yeah, if I'm gonna start losing steam or losing energy. And another thing, by the way, every 30 minutes, grab a sip of water, Powerade or something, hydrated. Not too much though. Not even a whole lot. Not even a whole lot. I feel like I do hydrate properly. I feel like I do hydrate properly, so I didn't want to overdo it in the race. I didn't want to overdo it in the race. I wanted to not. I wanted to not stop and like drink too much and have to use the restroom and stop and I didn't want to do that. So by 15, I'm kind of scanning things out. I'm listening to my body. I'm feeling what's going on with my body. Um, and again, I've hydrated properly. I got gels every 30 minutes. Like that tends to be the formula that the elites use every 30 minutes to hydrate and gel, just to keep that energy level up, keep your fuel up, and to be able to power on and power through. So I did the same thing, and I had never done that before in any other race as well. I know I've gotten that wrong a lot in the past. I've gotten that wrong a lot in the past. A lot of the times, I I would go a long time without drinking anything because I just didn't want to drink anything, and just would say to myself, um, I'll drink something when I start feeling like I need to. That's not the right thing to do. It's stuff like that, it's stuff like that that you find out that's not really beneficial. That doesn't really help you. So the key is to kind of preventative maintenance. You want to drink so that you don't get to that point, obviously, right? So that's what I did. Every 30 minutes, put that in your playbook. Every 30 minutes, take a sip of something, take down a gel, and you're gonna be able to power through. So at mile 15, I'm feeling good. Let's go to 17. At mile 17, I'm starting to like really pay attention, and I felt incredible at mile 17. I still felt incredible. So I'm getting some confidence now because my last race at mile 17, I started crashing. And I said that on the podcast after that run. I did a podcast after that run. I said on mile 17, I started to feel real funny. I was able to continue on, but I started to feel real funny at mile 17. Now in this race on mile 17, it was pretty phenomenal. It was. I felt great. I felt great. I'm feeling my fitness level is has improved. My fitness level has improved since the last race, November of 2019. Because at this point in that last race, I was starting to wane. My energy was starting to wane. I was starting to to kind of hit that wall. Um, but in this one, that was not the case. Now, another couple of miles, 18, 19. I'm feeling unbelievable. I got a nice stride going, but I did have to stop and use the restroom. I did have to stop to use the restroom. It didn't mess me up too bad. I remember once in the past stopping to use the restroom, and only even though it was only just a few seconds to do that, like I just locked down. I was in Miami at the time and doing that race, and I used the restroom and my body just kind of locked down, and it took me a while to get back in the groove. That was not the case in this run. Um, I used the restroom at 19, and it wasn't. Maybe it's 18. Either way, it wasn't anything really really bad. Now going into mile 20, I did have something that had never happened before happen to me. I felt cramps in my legs. Listen, I hadn't had a cramp in many many years. I don't really cramp up during. I hadn't cramped up during a race. Not even in training for a race had I cramped up over the past 8 years. Um, I am constantly hydrating my body, drinking water. Sodium. I use a super high grade salt every single day to prevent that type of disaster. And I have such confidence in my formula, my system, to stay hydrated and to maintain the proper sodium levels so that that does not happen. But it did happen in this case. It did happen. Um, and that was on mile 20. So, just to kind of play it back, that's my medal again. This is a phenomenal medal, by the way, um, that was given to us from Revel Wasatch, the Revel series. Check that out. Fantastic. I love it. I feel like Ghostface Killer with this song. Anyway, mile 20 was um, was when the cramp came along. So I'm running, and there was cars coming along, and one guy, he was in his car and he gave me a shout out, and I tried to give him a shout out back, and right away, like coming out of my form and just moving my body a certain way, I felt that cramp in my right calf almost like show itself. You know what I mean? Like a cramp, it literally comes through the skin. You can feel it coming up. And I felt it. And as soon as I felt it, I switched up my running like style. I switched it up in order to I had to do something right away because I was on mile 20, and I wasn't, again, that fitness level is there. The fitness level is there. It would have been such a disaster if I would have caught the cramp and it would have made me stop running because of the cramp and not because of my fitness level. That's how I was thinking. Like, I can't stop running. Like, I'm fine. I'm not tired. I'm not exhausted. I can do this, but this cramp would stop you. The cramp will stop you. Okay, if I let this cramp surface and take hold and take a grip, it's gonna stop me. It's crazy because once I felt the cramp coming on, I got to another hydro station or aid station or whatever, and they had like tablets that help with cramps. So going through, I grabbed some tablets. I threw those down, and I started to run a little bit differently in order to minimize the impact so that the cramp wouldn't surface itself. So by mile 22, now in the shoes that I wore, the Alpha Fly Next Percents, it was my first time wearing them. Wow, wow. I mean, I cannot tell you how much of an impact they had in the race. They allowed me so much room to not have to worry about plantar. As I have plantar fasciitis, and they've really protected me from that. They're so comfortable. These are marathon. These are shoes made specifically to run the marathon distance in pure comfort. It's like running on clouds. This was an unbelievable shoe. I was terrified of being struck with this plantar thing during this race, and really having some real difficulty finishing the race, because it gets painful. It gets painful. Nothing during this race. Nothing. I did not feel it at all at any point. And that was incredible. It was incredible. It was unbelievable. So at mile 22, I am feeling, in terms of my cardio, in terms of my fitness, I felt amazing. But in the back of my mind, I knew that with the wrong move, this cramp was going to surface. And I didn't want that. So again, I changed my stride. Actually, I changed the way that I landed on my right foot. And my left calf also was threatening a cramp, but not as bad as my right calf. My right calf, it came out, like it happened, but it went back because of how I made that adjustment real quick. I made that adjustment real quick. It's crazy how that happens, because if I don't do that, then I got to stop and I got to deal with this cramp, and the clock is ticking. And again, I got goals, and I can't. If you stop, if you deal with a cramp, it doesn't matter that you have goals. You're not going to hit them, because it's going to take some time to get this cramp under control, and then I'm screwed, because again, my fitness level was there. And had I had to stop to deal with this cramp, it would have been so unfortunate, because the fitness level is there. And I didn't expect a cramp to hold me up. So at 22, I'm still feeling really good, because I've adjusted my running style, and I'm still able to keep a nice stride, to keep my form. Now my head was I was distracted. I didn't have that certainty, that headspace that I'd had before now, because I got this cramp on my mind. And that's just how it was. I had the cramp on my mind, but it did. I still felt good. I still had the cardio. I still had the fitness level. So I was able to capitalize. I was able to capitalize on that. Just being able to make that adjustment. So by mile 24, I still, at this point in the race, when you're doing a race at the marathon distance, mile 22, mile 24, when you're almost at that finish line, you'll see a couple things. You'll see someone like myself who is battling some sort of ailment, but pushing through. You'll see someone who is getting ready to make a break. I mean, some people at the end of the race, and this is what I would like to do. This is what I would like to do, and this is what I did, but I didn't do it as effective as I could have, because I was worried about that cramp. But like, you'll see how some people start to make a push at 22, 24, going into the 26.2, the finish line. You'll see people start to make a push. And then you'll also see people start to like slow down and walk, because it's a beast. That 26.2 is a beast. When you're at mile 22, 23, 24, you're in such a pain cave. Like your body is hurting. You're hurting. Okay? It hurts. My thighs, my legs, my calves. From the waist down, I was in real pain at mile 22, 23, 24. I was in real pain. And then add on top of that, the calves, the cramps threatening. I was even afraid of that, just again because I didn't want to blow it. I didn't want to blow. I had ran a good race up to this point. I had ran a good race, I was physically fit. Like I was there. The cardio was there. Everything was good. My fitness level was right where it needed to be. Um, so it wasn't that. It was just the pain, like from the waist down, thighs, um, man, my groin area, even like right here. It was just uh, wow, wow. But anyway, um, mile 24, you're in that pain. You got that going. And you see those. I was able to, some of those people that was, kind of slowing down and walking, like gonna finish, but just had to walk a little bit. That was me, by the way. That was me, November of 2019. By the time I got to mile 23, I was like some of these other people, walking. I was walking a little, because I was out of gas. At mile 23, I was out of gas. In November of 2019, at the Las Vegas Rock and Roll Marathon, run a strip at night. I finished that marathon, but the last 2 miles from 24 to 26, it was the longest 2 miles of my life. I was dead ass out of gas. Done. Done. Finished, but done. And I ended up finishing that one at 407. That run at 407. In this one, at 24, 23, I was, again, fitness level was there. I was a little worried about the cramps, but I was able to power through, pass some people, which gave me some confidence. I did have one person come by and pass me because, again, that person was making a push. That person was making a push, and I respect that because this is where I'm gonna really lock in for my next race. I'm gonna really lock in, and what I want to do is the same thing. Mile 24, 23, I want to make that push. So I want to put myself on that level. But anyway, I think the cramps. I said all that to say, I think the cramps came from um, the altitude. It's high. It's above sea level. Because I drink water, I use salt, I do all the things I'm supposed to do in order to prevent cramps. And I had prevented cramps up to this point. But the sea level, like being above sea level, I think it does something to your body. I don't know, it dehydrates you even still. And that's what causes cramps. I think that's what happens. Because I prepare for that stuff. I do. I prepare for it. And I think that's what happened. I spoke to my people, and this is all we could come up with. Um, so it was the altitude. It was the being above sea level. But at 24 and 25, I was able to push through and get in, cross the finish line. And again, still not exhausted. My fitness level is better than it's ever been before in terms of my running career or my running whatever. For the last 8 years, my fitness level is stronger than ever. And I finished at 342. I finished at 342. Um, Unbelievable. Unbelievable. 25 minutes, 26 minutes shorter, cut 26 minutes off of my time to get under 4 hours, which was my first time doing that at 342. So PR'd in every single category. I PR'd in 1 mile at 6:20. I PR'd in the 5K. I think it was 21 minutes, maybe 22 minutes. I PR'd in the 10K. I forget what that was. I PR'd in the half marathon distance at 1:39, and I PR'd in the full marathon distance at 3:42. It was an unbelievable experience, um, and help wanted. Go back and check that out. Help wanted. If you're doing something and you're not able to get the results that you want, get some help. Get some help. No matter what it is, help wanted, man. Get some help. Um, without me doing that, I don't get where I'm trying to get to. This was huge. It was a confidence builder. Um, my next goal is to go from 340 to 315. Is to go from 340 to 315. So I'm taking another 25 minutes off of my time within a year. I'm going to say within a year. It could happen before then, but within a year from April 30th, 2021. So by April 30th, 2022, I'll be at a 315 time in the marathon distance. And I don't think there's any doubt about it. I don't think there's any doubt about it. And it will continue to go down. Ultimately, I'm going to be at a 2 hour, 45-minute marathon distance, which is going to put me um, in the world, and that's the goal. So just a huge confidence booster. The Revel Wasatch limited edition 2021 in the state of Utah, the city of Park City, Utah. It was an amazing experience, and one that um, the numbers bears it out. The numbers bears it out. 1 mile, 5K, 10K, half marathon, and the full marathon distance. I PR'd in everything, and it was a wrap. It was a wrap. So proud of myself. So proud of my team. I have a team. Proud of these guys. I really appreciate them putting up with me and tolerating me, because a lot of times I would just scratch the whole thing and we'd have to start over. And we've been around the block on this one, and I really appreciate them. Again, shout out to Trevor Moronis. This is my man, my guy, and we are already ready to start the next training block. My next race is in September in Santa Cruz, California. I'm trying something new on this one. I am entering, or I have already entered, an Ironman competition, Ironman 70.3. It's like the half Ironman, not the full version, where there's something like a 1 mile swim, 50 to 60 mile bike ride, and then a half marathon. This is what we're doing next, and I feel like I'm doing this because I think training for an Ironman competition is going to be really beneficial for my marathon training and my body. My body, just to train everything from head to toe. Right now, I train running, and I'm stuck there. And I need to be doing a lot of other things. So this forces me to have to swim, to have to do some other type of cross training, to have to ride the bike and to run. So I'll come out of this in really good physical shape. Add on to my cardio, add on to my fitness level. This is going to be a really great experience. We're starting here in the next few days to get started on that. So September 12th, my next run, September 12th, in Santa Cruz, California, in the Ironman 70.3. I'm really looking forward to that. And Revel Wasatch limited edition 2021. It's a wrap. It was good to me. I left it all out there on the course. I PR'd in every single category. And for that, I'm thankful. I'm blessed. I feel honored even to to answer the call to be out here doing these runs, man. This is super exciting for me. And again, Revel Wasatch, Park City, Utah, Heber City, Utah, the Wasatch Mountains. It's a wrap. And shout out to ATL. If you notice, my background is different. I'm in Atlanta right now doing my podcast, the I Run the City podcast. We're doing this from Atlanta, Georgia. So we're running this city right now. We're running Atlanta. I've had a fantastic time out here. And who knows? We may be back. We'll see. ATL. Shout out to ATL. It's crazy down here. I love it. Love coming to Atlanta. Um, that's going to do it for me. Thank you for tuning in once again. And don't forget, eat plants, keep running, and be still. Out.